Hey guys, so I am not able to do a live conference with you all today, but I didn't want you to miss the lesson. So instead, I made this video to help you get what you need for today's lesson so you all are ready for our quiz tomorrow. So, first thing we're going to do is look at our agenda for today. So, if you are on your Schoology page, you're going to click on the third quarter button, click on week 22, sorry, and you can see in our weekly agenda, we're going to be in our textbook today, and you have a riddle to do. So, when you click on Wednesday, you can see our statements of what you should be able to do today is write and evaluate numerical expressions involving whole number exponents. Remember, numerical expressions are ones with only numbers and operations. They don't have any letters in them. And you are going to use the order of operations in order to solve these problems. So if we're looking at what it is we're doing today, hopefully you've taken some time to do your iReady. Make sure you have the volume turned up and you have your earbuds in so you can actually hear what it's saying. Otherwise, it's just kind of like guessing on what you need to do, which makes it a little bit difficult. The next thing we're going to do is look at my favorite no. So let me get that pulled up. So my favorite no, yesterday our question, it said to solve and show your work by typing out each step. So remember, this caret is kind of like a arrow pointing up to show that anything after it is going to be an exponent. So this is the same as saying 4 squared minus 2 times 3 plus 6. So this would be a good time for you to pause the video to see if you can figure out what this person did wrong, what mistake they made, and how we could fix that. If you need help figuring out what we did wrong or what this person did wrong, we can just take it step by step. So if I look at it, 4 squared is the same as saying 4 times 4, which is 16. So that step was right. Next, this person did the subtraction. But if we think about it, our order of operations are, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So it's parentheses and then exponents, which is what she did, or they did, and then multiplication and division. Remember, we go from left to right, and then addition and subtraction. So instead of subtracting 16 minus 2 next, this person should have done the multiplication next, which in this case, it would be, if she brought everything down, it would be 16 minus 2 times 3 plus 6. And then if we did the multiplication, that would give you 16 minus 6 plus 6. And then now, since addition and subtraction you just do from left to right, we would do the subtraction first. And so 16 minus 6 is 10. And then 10 plus 6, 10 plus 6 would be 16. And so that one little step, just doing it out of order in this first step, completely changed the answer from 16 to 48, or from 48 to 16. So make sure you're following this order of operations. Hopefully that made sense. We are going to go ahead and move on. And the next thing we need to look at is our 5-a-day. So let me get that pulled up. So you should have done Tuesday's 5-a-day for homework, hopefully, last night. We are going to, I'll answer any questions I don't answer in this video tomorrow, but hopefully tomorrow we can move on to Wednesday's part of the 5-a-day. So for today, just really quickly, I don't have y'all to ask questions, so I'm just going to kind of hit each one of them really quick. For number one, you're finding the unit rates. Remember, when you find the unit rates, all you have to do is divide. And when you have a price, you always put the price first. And I like to say you put the price first so you don't get a half puppy. So always put the price first. For number two, this is like our exponent activity that we did the other day. You are going to write out the expanded form and then just write what the answer is for the standard form. Let's skip number three for now. Number four, you have 8-inch boxes that are stacked next to 6-inch boxes, and what height are the two stacks going to be the same? What's the lowest height? So what you are looking for is the least common multiple, because you're adding, each box is 8, so you're adding 8, 8, 8, and then 6, 6, 6. And so you want to know when are they going to be even. So you want a common multiple, and since it's the lowest, least common multiple. That's all you have to do for number four. Number five, remember, it doesn't matter which way you go. You can do x equals or y equals, but you have to think of it. What do I do to x in order to get y, or what do I do to y in order to get x? Next, lastly, number three. So remember, we have part is a percent of the whole. So our part comes first, is a percent of the whole. So you can fill in your whole down here, you can fill in your percent over here, and we have to look at what of means. We know of is multiplication, and so if we have a number on each side of the word, then we can multiply it together and give us our answer. In this case, you would do 20% times 45, but before you multiply a percent, you have to change it to a decimal. So to do that, you would take the 20% and you move your decimal to the left 2 places in order to make it 0.2, and then just multiply that by 45. So that is your 5 a day. Remember, this is a video that you have control over, so if you want to go back and listen to me say how to do something, just pause it. You can rewind it and listen to it. But we're going to go ahead and move on. So the next thing we're going to look at is your book. So this would be a good time to pause the video to give you time to open up your book to page 144. And the book that we are in is your your math book with the big purple 4 on the front cover. So you are going to open up to page 144. All we're doing is things to practice order of operations, which is what we did yesterday. So like normal, I'm not going to go through every single part of this book, but I do want to hit a lot of it. So go ahead and go to the reflection on page 145. So it asks us, is 2 to the 7th equal to 2 times 7? And explain. So the answer would be no, it is not equal. And the problem, it would be, because if we wrote 2 to the 7th power in expanded form, that would be 2 times 2 all the way until we get 7 2's. And that's going to be equal to something. And then we have 2 times 7, which is, we know is equal to 14. So the two problems would not be the same. Which that is a common mistake, because people like to just take the big number and multiply it by the small number. But remember, the exponent tells you how many times to multiply the larger number by itself, by itself. So if we move on to page 146, it says, Julie's brother says that instead of paying her the $40 he owes her, he will give her $2 a day and double the amount that she has for 6 days. So should she accept the offer? Why or why not? So this shows you two ways that you could solve this problem. Start with day 1, she gets $2. The next day she doubles it, so 2 times 2. Then day 3 she doubles that, so 4 times 2. Day 4 she doubles that to 8 times 2. Then 16 times 2, and then on day 6 she ends up with $64. So if he only owes her 40 and by the end of the 6 days she gets 64, I say take it, because that's an extra $26 or $24 that she wouldn't have. Also, you could think of it as this way. You could kind of make a table, and on day 1, or just all your days 1 through 6, and then you just multiply, add a 2 to each time. So 2 to the second power, 2 to the third power, 2 to the fourth power, and so on. Both of those will get you the same answer. Why do you double 8 to find the amount of money that Julie will have on day 4? So the reason for doubling 8 is because, well, 1, the problem says that you double it every time. Every day she doubles the amount. So if she had 8 at the end of day 3, she's going to double it to get what she has for day 4. Let's go on down here to try it. So on number 8, Maria is buying new carpet for her bedroom. Her bedroom is in the shape of a square and the length of the side is 12 feet. Write and simplify an exponential expression to find out how much carpet she needs. So for find the carpet, we want to figure out how much area is in the point, or in the, how much area the carpet will cover. We know area is length times width. So it's a square, so we know our length and our width are the same. So if area equals length times width, and for the square, we have 12 times 12. So an exponential expression would just be kind of putting 12 times 12 would be 12 to the what power? And we know exponents tell us how many times to multiply it. So this would be 12 to the second power. This would be the answer for the exponential expression. And yeah. Let's look at page 15. So Michael, Morgan, and Keegan are in the same class. The teacher asks the students to write and simplify the expression 6 plus 4 cubed. Here are the expressions that they wrote. So Michael wrote 6 plus 4 and then cubed it. Morgan wrote 6 cubed plus 4 cubed, and Keegan wrote 6 plus 4 cubed. Which student got the correct answer, and which, if any, are the expressions, which, if any, of the expressions are equivalent. So first, if you look at the model, you add 6 plus 4, which you know is 10. Then raise 10 to the third power, so the 10 times 10 times 10. And here you can do, they did the same thing. So they found the order of operations, and they found that 6 cubed is 216, and 4 cubed is 64. So 64 plus 216 gives you that answer. And in the last equation, they did 4 cubed, which is 64, and they added 64 plus the 6 that they started with. Okay, so up here, to finish these out, so 216 plus 64, if you take that, that will give you 280. Up here, we know 10 times 10 is 100, and then that times 10 equals 1,000. So that gave us, and then lastly, 64 plus 6 is 70. So that gives us our final answers. So to answer the question, which student will get the correct answer and which, if any, are equivalent? So they're not equivalent. We had to solve all three of them to see that. They're not equivalent. As far as the correct answer, so this is kind of like what we've done in the 5-a-day. So we know plus means add, and we're just going to write exactly what it says. So 6 plus 4 cubed. So it would be Keegan that had the right answer. For Michael, it would have said the sum of 6 plus 4 cubed. Or it would have said 6 cubed plus 4 cubed for Morgan. But if we take this word for word, what it says, Keegan would have the correct answer. So go ahead and look down here at the evaluate. So we need to solve these. We know evaluate means to solve or to find the value of it. So first we need to do 6 squared, because we can't divide 6 squared and 3. So we have to do, by order of operations, we're going to do the squared first. So 6 times 6 is going to be 36. And then we're going to divide that by 3. So, because remember that fraction bar means to divide. 36 divided by 3 is 12. Easy enough. Now for down here, when we evaluate it, we always do our exponents first if there aren't any parentheses. 5 squared is the same thing as saying 5 times 5. So 5 times 5 is 25. So I'm going to write down what I have left. We know that dot means times. And now I'm going to, since I have adding and multiplying, I'm going to multiply first. We can think of 25 like quarters. If I have 4 quarters, I have $1 or 100 cents. So that leaves me 3 plus 100, and my final answer is 103. Okay, remember, as you are going down and you're writing your steps, things should be getting more narrow, because you're narrowing it down to one answer. Okay, let's look at this. So in an old story, a man puts 2 grains of rice on the first space of a chessboard. He puts 4 grains of rice on the second space, 8 grains on the third space, and so on. Write and evaluate an expression with the exponents to find how many grains of rice the man puts on the 10th space. So if we look at our numbers, we have 2, we have 4, and we have 8. And we can also say the 2 is on the first, 4 is on the second, and the 8th is on the third space. So if we look at this, we can compare it. So to go from 2 to 4, we multiply by 2. To go from 4 to 8, we multiply by 2. So we can see our pattern is that we're going to be multiplying by 2. And you can even look at it here. 2 to the first power is 2. 2 to the second power is 4. And 2 to the third power is 8. So if we need to know the 10th space, hold on. So if we need to know the 10th place, and if we follow our pattern, that would be the same thing as saying 2 to the 10th power or to the 10th space. To find that out, we're just going to keep following our pattern. So 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16, 16 times 2 is 32, 32 times 2 is 64. So we're just doubling it every time, kind of like we did with the money before. 64 times 2 is 128. Let me mix, my lines are getting mixed up. Let me so that was 2 to the 7th power. And then for the 8th power, that would be 256. For the 9th power, that would be 512. And then finally for the 10th power, that would be 1024. For my solution, how many grains of rice? He will put 1024 grains of rice. That is a whole lot of rice. Okay, remember, at any time that you didn't understand something, you can just kind of rewind the tape and listen to it again. Because I need you, again, you have a quiz tomorrow, so I need you to understand these things. So Maura does 1/2 of a homework assignment on Monday. On Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, she does 1/2 of the homework she has left over from the day before. Write and evaluate and exponents to find the fraction of the original assignment. Well, we're going to skip that one. Because I think I want you all to stick with whole numbers for now. Okay, number 19. We are going to evaluate 6 plus 2 cubed minus 12 divided by 5. Goodness. So, the first thing we're going to do is we have to do what's in parentheses. So 6 plus 2 is 8. And we're going to write down the rest of it. And then all of that is going to be divided by 5. And the way I'm going to show that by typing it is I'm going to group all of this together. So now 8 cubed, I know that's the same as saying 8 times 8 times 8. And I know 8 times 8, I know 8 times 8 is 64, and then I'm going to take that and multiply it by 8, which is 512. So if I go back here, I'm going to write 512 minus 12, and then I'm going to keep it in my group since I can't type it. And then I'm going to divide that by 5. So now, if you're just looking at it how it's wrote over here, where you have the division underneath it, you won't see any more parentheses. But we can't really do 612 minus 12 and divide by 5 first. So we have to do what's on top first, or what's in our top group first. So 612 minus 12 is 600, and then we can easily do 600 divided by 5, which is 120. So that's not an option. Huh. Odd. So 6 plus 2 is 8. Well, 600 divided by 5. Well, we did the steps right. So, not sure. Let me pause. Hey guys, so this is a different screen. What I did is I brought up the answer key to this, and it says the answer is 100, but the answer is not 100. Wait, I think I know what happened. So let's go back and look. So 8 times 8, 64. Oh, 8 times 8 times 8 is 512. And that is a 5. I just can't, the parentheses threw me off. And then 500 minus 12 is 512 minus 12 is 500. 500 divided by 5 is 100. So see, guys, even when I'm not there, your teacher would make mistakes. It is okay to make mistakes as long as we learn from them. So let's go back and look at number 18. So she does 1/2 of her homework on Monday and then 1/2 each night. So I'm just going to look and let you all see what the answer says it is. So if we zoom in, so what this is, if she does 1/2 on Monday, and then she does 1/2 on Tuesday, 1/2 on Wednesday, and 1/2 on Thursday, then she's multiplying it just like we did the 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. She is multiplying the 1/2 times itself. And when you do that, remember, multiplying fractions, you just go straight across. So 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. And then 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. So the answer would be 1/16 of her original assignment, which isn't that much. So all she did here, she took that 1/2 and she multiplied 1/2 each day to figure out how much she would have left to do on the day, but on Friday. So it's not that bad. Let's go back to our page though. That's 5 a day. Okay. So we figured out number 19. I just can't, we multiplied it right. I just can't read my typing. Now we're going to look here. Remember, guys, you have a quiz tomorrow, and part of it's multiple choice, so make sure you are paying attention. So this says, which best describes the first step? Now, best means that there could be more than one step in the first step, but what would be the best answer? So would it be to simplify 5 cubed? Well, there's not a 5 cubed anywhere. To multiply 4 times 53, again, we're looking for the first step, and there is no 4 in this. To subtract 8 minus 5, or to add 53 plus 1. So if we follow the order of operations, we have, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So while you have to do the top half before and the bottom half before you can divide the two, you have to do what's in parentheses first. So the best option would be C. Number 2, in a science fiction story, a spaceship travels 3 times faster each minute than it traveled during the minute before. If the ship travels at 3 kilometers per hour during the first minute of flight, which expression shows the speed per hour during the 15th minute? So this is just like the homework or the money from before, where you take the number and you just times it by itself over and over until you get to how many you need. So for the 1/2, we had 4 days, so we did 1/2 to the 4th power. For the money, he had $2 and he doubled it each day. So that was 2 to the 6th power, I think, because of 6 days. Well, here we have 3 kilometers and he's kind of getting 3 times faster. So it's being it's being 3 times itself. And he's going to the 15th minute. So we would write it as 3 to the 15th because it's 3 to the 15th minute. From the choices on the left, write inside the box each expression equivalent to 3 to the 4th power times 3 to the 2nd power. Well, we know for 1, this one would work because all they did was take it and switched it. We know that 3 times 3 is 9, and then 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 18, times 3, 3 times 3 is 9, 9 times 3 is 27, and then 27 times 3 is 81. So this would be an equivalent one because they just solved it out. If we look at these others that are left, so when you have 3 times 3 times, 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, that's 3 to the 4th power, and then you're multiplying that by 3 times 3. So you could really group all those together, and so you could get 3 to the 6th power because there's 6 3s that you're multiplying together. And you could also regroup them and break them up and do 3 times 3 or 3 to the 3rd power and 3 to the 3rd power. And so both of these would also be true. 12 times 6 is not true because all they did there is 3 times 4 and 3 times 2, but we know that's not how we solve exponents. And also 3 times 3 to the 8th power is not true because they multiplied the exponents, where you don't do that, you add them together, which is how we got 3 to the 6th. So these 4 options would go with number 3. For number 4, look at the cube below. Which statement correctly calculates the volume of the cube? Choose true or false. So we know for volume is the same as length times width times height. So simplify the expression 5 plus 5 plus 5. Well, if it's length times width times height, we don't want to add it all, so that would be false. Simplify the expression 5 times 5 times 5. Sounds right. Simplify 3 times 5. No, because 3 times 5 is 15, which would be the same as if we added it all. 5 times 25. So if we do 5 times 5, that is 25 times 5 again. So that would be true. And also 5 to the 3rd power is the same as this, which would make that one true as well. 2 more problems. So write each of the numbers 1, 4, 9, 8, 16, 25 as a base raised to the 2nd power. Explain why those numbers are sometimes called perfect squares. Okay, so what it's asking you to do is, what can we multiply by itself to equal that number? And we're going to the 2nd power, so it's going to be something times something equals that number, and it has to be the same thing or else it wouldn't be the exponent. So for 1, we know that, let me make this a little bit bigger for you all. So for 1, we know that 1 to the 2nd power equals 1. We also know for 4, you have to do 2 times 2, which is the same as 2 to the 2nd power. Then we know for 9, that's going to be the same as 3 to the 2nd power. We have 16, which is 4 to the 2nd power, because that's 4 times 4. And then finally for 25, it is simply 5 times 5, which is 5 to the 2nd power. And where did that go? That was supposed to be down here. And the reason that they are called perfect squares is because all of those numbers can be wrote as a whole number to the second power. Whereas if you take 8, nothing, like, you can't square a whole number by itself to get to 8. So all of these are perfect squares because you can square a whole number in order to get to them. And lastly, Trey knows that 3 plus 4 equals 4 plus 3, and 3 times 4 equals 4 times 3. So he says that 3 to the 4th power is going to be the same thing as 4 to the 3rd power. Is he correct? Well, I know 3 to the 4th power is the same as 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9. You bring down the rest. 9 times 3 is 27. And then 27 times 3 is 81. So now we need to check the other side. So we have 4 times 4 times 4. So 4 times 4 is 16. Bring down the rest. And then 16 times 4 is 64. So to know if he is correct, all you have to do is compare the two things. He's saying that they're equal. 81 is not equal to 64. So Trey is not correct. So this was your book work today, guys. You kind of lucked out. You didn't have to do any of this on your own because I wasn't there. So hopefully this all makes sense. Again, if you did not understand something, go back and listen to me explain it again because I want you to be ready for your test tomorrow. Now, I am going to go over what your assignment is today because remember, the assignment is what you need to do to be counted as present, that, hey, you did what was required for class. So you need to listen so that you can do your assignment. After this video, you'll be able to go actually click on the assignment and complete it. So you are doing a riddle. We haven't done one of these in a long time. It's over order of operations. So the directions, this is kind of small for me to see. So I'm going to take it. Remember, go to the view and zoom. I'm going to zoom to about 150 so I can read it. Now, it says to evaluate each expression and write the letter above the line in that answer. So each one of these answers is going to be somewhere up here. So you have to solve the riddle or solve each question to know where that letter would go. For instance, for number 1, you have 48 divided by 3 times 2 cubed. So if I follow my order of operations, I don't have any parentheses, so I'm going to do 2 cubed. Now 2 times 2 is 4, and then 4 times 2 is 8. So I'm going to bring down everything I have left, make this a little bit wider. So 45 divided by 3 times 8. Then you do multiplication and division from left to right. So I get to my division first. So 45 divided by 3 is 15. Bring down the rest. And then 15 times 8 is 120. So that tells me that 120 is going to be in. So I am going to find my 120 and put my in right there. And that is all you have to do for that riddle. You're just going to go from each one of these and solve each one. And at the end, you should have your answer for what do you give a sick bird. Make sure for your grade that you have all of your letters in place of it, and make sure you're typing all your work so that, because it really helps me, guys, see where your mistake is if I can see what you did from step to step. Kind of like in the My Favorite No thing. Just as a reminder, as you go down, these should get more narrow and not as big. Let's see, if we go back to Wednesday, we did all of this. Don't forget your discussion question for tonight. It is another my favorite no, and you're just doing order of operations to solve the problem again. And work on Wednesday's part of the 5-a-day so we can go over it tomorrow. Okay? If you have any questions today, just message me on Schoology, and I may not get back to you right away, but I will try and get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks, guys. Bye.